A special YouTube channel representation with a special subscriber milestone. A special YouTube channel subscriber milestone representation. As one dare might say, it is worth the presentation. A special YouTube channel subscriber milestone representation. A special celebratory representation of subscriber presentations representing. Hello everybody, it's Foxy speaking, and yes, this is certainly another special channel representation. Hello to you everybody, hello. Another special channel representation for sure, yes. And why is this another special channel representation? Well, if I may so share, I think Martin's probably got his t-shirt saying that's what he was intending to do, but provided he does not sell them in shops, online or in stores. Because if I did catch him do that and I found out he did it, he'd be sued by me if he made money from that. So he knows he's not going to sell it without my consent. And is he going to sell it? Would I permit him to sell t-shirts saying, if a certain catchphrase of mine, or goodbye and may your good wishes bring you great expectations or happiness, or good night and may your God go with you. If he sold t-shirts saying that without mine or Graham's consent, I don't know how Graham or Fiona would react to it if he sold them without their consent, t-shirts like that. But if he did that with me, I would find out if he did it or not, and if it was him, I'd get him sued. That much more could be said, but no offence saying this, of course, just sharing a blunt point. But anyway, sorry Martin, sorry if you're watching, sorry if I said too much that may have caused you discomfort. It was not meant, just sharing a naughty boy point, you know. But getting to the very video now, and a very representation, why I'm doing this for Graham was because recently his channel has hit more than 9.75k subscribers. I think by the time I get this one uploaded, he'll probably hit the 9.8k subscriber milestone. He is just over 200 subscribers away from 10,000 subscribers. I mean, wow. It is a wow, what a milestone. Yes, it is really quite it certainly is quite the wow-wee milestone. You know, wow-wee milestone. Well done, Graham. Yes, it's quite a wow-wee milestone. Well, it's a big, goodness me, what a milestone indeed, you know. It's a big achievement for Graham, most understandably and notably so, and all that. No, don't worry, it's all right. And so, all I can give is my biggest set of congratulations to Graham himself. I mean, Graham always provides fantastic content. No, always. He and Fiona, with their strong grip of generosity, they always provide the greatest content they can for all of us, for whenever chance allows for them. And I'm truly, extremely thankful for all that they provide, as are generally everybody I see within their content, always generally so very thankful for all the content Graham and Fiona provide. Graham does extremely well. Not only does he do vlogging at times, representing certain places he and Fiona might be curiously and happily exploring at times, or, you know, their inspirational chat they have sometimes on a weekly to monthly basis, you know, or and all that. But anything that his content provides, certainly his boat content or their cat content representing their faithful Hesketh family cat, or sometimes they call the cat Boo Boo. You know, don't know what would be a good name for a cat, but you know, but there we are. Never mind. But I think they call their cat Boo Boo at times. I think Finvola would be a good name for a cat. Yes, that was the name that was in my head, but I forgot. Nearly mimics Fiona to some extent, doesn't it? But not quite the same, but there we are. Finvola the cat. Finvola, please Come on, you're not meant to be in this place. Come along, move along now, please, as Graham or Fiona might say. Or Fiona, okay, kitty, come on, Finvola, kitty. Come on, I need to sit down there, please, come on. That's a good kitty. But sorry if this was taking the mick. It was not meant to take the mick. I was just trying to be funny when I did that, you know. But really, with all the content he provides, and the channels he provides, it's not just his main channel he does, Graham. He also does his flying club, his VR flight sim or flight talk channel, talking about the concepts surrounding flying and being a pilot and all that, in that entirety of guarded surrounding and all that, but also, and certainly yes, VR flight sim and all that, you know. That's what it generally entails, but sometimes it has seen some vlogging content in it at times. It can happen by random, but generally it's the Baron Flying Club channel, Graham's flying channel. It predominantly is in the surrounding grip of VR flight simulator content or flight talk content, with Graham talking about the concepts and values of flying and what the values of being a pilot would generally entail and all that. Certainly once you've got your pilot's flying license, because Graham has got a certified pilot's license, so he is qualified to you know, he's got the pilot's qualification, so he knows everything about flying to tell everybody on things, you know, and he would be able to talk about it clearly without trouble. And certainly every flying information he's spoken about, brilliant, and always got straight to the point, fantastic information as usual. So I'd always praise Graham for that, most largely sincerely, for sure, you know. And also his airgun review channel. It's very interesting, the airgun review channel, since Graham was in the army himself, and he's ex-army. Well, most all of you who follow him would already know this by now, because he's often spoken about it from time to time in his content and all that, you know. But above and beyond anything, Graham and Fiona's content, the best moments is when they're the get-together live streams. They are just phenomenal. Oh my goodness. I must say, they are so phenomenal and brilliant, and you know, the connection between all my friends who I've had it, I mean, through Graham and Fiona, I've made many, many wonderful newfound friends who I truly never thought I would have in my lifetime up until now, or to presently this very moment, and all that. Wonderful friends always. Oh, I just love all my new friends, but there are some who I love more than anything. I love them almost in a best friend sort of way. There are 11 people within Graham and Fiona's content, wonderful 11 people, who I love almost like best friends, you know, but, you know, I love them, you know, like closely best friends, but I would never exclude them from David, because David's going to always be my #1 best friend. But Graham and Fiona, I would say they're definitely I consider them to be one of my best friends. In the now only year that I've gotten to know them and have the the fortunate privilege for being associated with them in the friendship and friendly terms and all that, I would certainly, given all that they've done not only for me but everybody they represent within their community, I mean, I couldn't be more thankful. I just couldn't be more thankful to both of them. They're just fantastic. They're wonderful. They're one of the best friends anybody could ever ask. As is also Trevor, not to mention, and of course the Hutches, being that of Hutch and Mel. And also certainly including others like wonderful people like Duchess Blair. Duchess Blair is brilliant. Fantastic content she does, especially when it comes to a get-together live stream that she hosts from time to time, but I missed the last one because it was a podcast with her friend. I only watched a replay, but I'm yet to comment on it and all that, you know. But wonderful friends from Graham and Fiona's content, I must say, but there are some particular notable friends of mine who I just love lots. You know, really, it's just one of the most, in a way, it can be quite moving at times, you know, because though I did not expect to be friends with them in my lifetime, I'm extremely thankful and grateful, largely, that it happened, you know. It's a lovely thing that's happened and all the rest of things. But don't get me wrong, I've got many wonderful friends outside of Graham and Fiona's community, but some of the most notable friends to include include wonderful people like Tony, the lovely oaky lady Tony, and Mary, the Carolina resident, classic car owner and cat owner, alongside her dearly much-loved husband Glenn, so you could say Mary and Glenn. Sandra, that's Sandra Parrott, who's very popular within Graham and Fiona's community. Sandra Parrott, oh, we all love Sandra. I certainly love Sandra too. And Sandra's quite popular within my content from time to time too. And she's always lovely and friendly to everybody, you know. Friendly like no other. As are Tony and Mary too. But there are, to explain others, you'd just be amazed. Sandra, definitely one wonderful one. Mrs. Buffy, the Scots lady, wonderful Scots lady. And who else after Mrs. Buffy? Who else after her? Oh, lovely lady Rosie from Alabama. The Alabama, I think they're also known as Southerners as well. I think so. I'm not trying to say anything rude or discriminatory, but that's the impression I would have came under and all that. So lovely lady Rosie, oh, she's always so lovely and friendly as usual. Who else is there? Oh yes, Susan Reich, the New Yorker Susan. I love Susan, honestly. She's always pleasantly lovingly friendly. Well, she's always full of nothing more than good pleasance. A good grip of pleasance she is nothing but full of, and that's something we look up and value within towards our lovely Susan. No, really, she's always she's extremely supportive, to tell you all things, and always does she have not only Graham, Fiona, or Trevor's back, or Duchess Blair's back, but she always has all our backs within the whole community as a whole, the whole circled direct community as a whole. Susan, right, and Michelle, that's Michelle Pope Wales. Oh, I mean, you know, oh, Michelle, she is definitely another one of the most popular friends through Graham and Fiona's community. She is just ever so popular within Graham and Fiona's community, as I have seen, and certainly very well liked and loved within Graham and Fiona's community. She is generally also seen within Trevor's community too, as well. And she's always extremely nice and lovely towards Trevor, and certainly Graham and Fiona, and fiercely protective and shows a lot of fiercely protective loyalty towards Graham and Fiona, and certainly Trevor too. And she's even done it with me as well. And she is sometimes, not always, but sometimes present within my community at times. You know, but she's always loved. Michelle said, you know, she always says lovely things to all. And, I mean, I love Michelle, I really do. I love her in the same way that I love Graham and Fiona, you know, and I almost love her in a best friend sort of way. In like a really very, very extremely close best friend sort of way. I love her in that way. No, really I do. And I hold her certainly in very much high regard, if one asked. I think Ellie will probably remind me so that I hold her in high regard. No, I really do. I never would take her for granted. Never for a lifetime would I take her for granted. No, I love her too dearly. I really do. I mean, who couldn't love our Michelle? I mean, not only do I love her, we all love her dearly. And I remember saying that to her when I was I've been on a live twice where it's had Michelle appear on it. And then when I said, well, who couldn't love you, Michelle? We love you too much. And she's like, oh, thank you. And she took her glasses off and said, well, you need some of these, my darling. Said it directly to me, and I was just bursting with laughter after she said it, you know. She's very funny. Fantastic sense of humour she's got. And one of the funniest things, she actually said it to me once, to reference myself and David, since we feel the cold a lot, unfortunately, hence the cardigan. She said, you both need a cosy lady to snuggle up to, Foxy and David. God, that is just the funniest. David once confused it. He said, he said, oh, wasn't Michelle the one who said that we both needed a cuddly lady to snuggle up? I said, no, what Michelle said, David, was we both need a cosy lady to snuggle up to, given the the scale that we feel the cold more. And she was like, he was like, Michelle is just funny. And that was what he said. He was like, oh, you're Michelle, she's just so funny. He was like, yeah, she is funny, but she's lovely, I know. And David knows that she's lovely. And who else there? There's lovely Elaine Williams, lovely Elaine, the friendly Londoner, friendly and pleasant Londoner, Elaine Williams. She's always pleasant and friendly. And I didn't really become familiar with Elaine herself until around about just after Halloween 2023. It was only a short while later, because I sometimes saw her on Trevor's Live, and someone said, oh, I remember, hello to you, Elaine. I remember you from the Halloween live stream, or say, did you do anything nice, etc., etc. And sometimes I got a nice reply from her. And then we were once waiting in the chat room on a live, before a live stream was due to start. I saw Elaine, and I was like, oh, hello, lovely Elaine, hello to you. And we said hello, and we became quite conversant together. We gradually got more conversant together, and before long, she's definitely one of the friends we would just hit it off with a conversant conversation, Elaine and I. We would just hit it off with it, obviously, even I would take time with who I would talk to and become associated with, although I have got one friend who's very, 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 very cautious as to who she becomes associated with and all that. No, I'm talking probably about 5 times more cautious than myself. Yes, I'm cautious. Completely cautious. I'm completely cautious with who I associate myself with. But probably not quite on the same scale as Harriet. She is... Harriet, Willa and Alice, they are about 5 times more cautious than I am. I take chances, but they really don't take as many chances as I would, or a lot of my friends would. Yes, all of us are cautious with who we associate with, certainly within Graham and Fiona, Trevor and everybody's community. But once we come to see that people are the same people, that they're okay and not said anything bad or rude or mean or ugly towards others, we sort of gradually begin to associate ourselves with others and all that. And especially with most of us generally being very sociable within the community, generally, it's a fantastic community to have when we chat amongst ourselves and all that, and all the rest of things, And, who's next? Lovely Caroline. Caroline Allen. Oh, she is just so lovely. I love Caroline. I really do. Caroline, she's Canadian. She's based over in Canada, like that of lovely Heather. Well, my lovely Heather, that is. Lovely Heather in Canada. There's lovely Caroline Allen. Oh. She's extremely supportive and lovely, not only to Graham, Fiona, Trevor, or Duchess Blair and all that, but to me too as well. And sometimes she's appeared came in the comment section on a live stream of mine and all that. And always the support she provides, just fantastic. Fantastic support, and I couldn't have it any other way. I love her very dearly. Wonderful, lovely Caroline. And both she and Elaine expressed much support to me when my mother was dreadfully ill back in Christmas of 2023, as was Michelle too, not to mention. And even Michelle and Caroline have said some of the nicest things towards my mother when they said that she was both beautiful and gorgeous. And my mother thanks both of them for the compliments, she really does. And who is after Caroline? A lovely Rosie, the Scots lady Rosie, whose husband is a keen classic car enthusiast. That's how I could really describe her. She's always lovely, and always sends very affectionate gestures towards others, and I send affectionate hugging gestures towards her in return, because she's very open for hugs, as is also Michelle is, not to mention. Rosie's very open to hugs in really more or less the comparable or same way to Michelle in Wales, and all that, and lovely Catherine from Iceland, But those are not the only friends of mine. Yes, they may be my most favourite friends of mine through Graham and Fiona, who I just love enormously dearly. Really, I do love them very, very enormously dearly. Other wonderful good friends include people, you know, like, who am I thinking of? Deborah Coleman, lovely Deborah, and her bestie Heidi, but I don't think Heidi's associated herself with Graham and Fiona's content as of yet. And who else is there? There's Heather, this is a different Heather Arredondo, Ginger Grutius. I used to pronounce it wrong, but it's Grutius, how one pronounces it, who said the lovely things about her dearly loved elderly mother, some nice things she said about her when I first saw her in the comments section, and they were just so nice what she had to say towards her, and I value what she said. I really, truly do. Oh gosh, oh goodness me. And who is next after Ginger? Lovely Ginger, lovely Lils, lovely Lady Lils. Sally Ann Loveday, Carla, lovely Sally. She's always wonderful and always extremely friendly. And I think I don't remember, she'll have to remind me, but I think she said she views me as a grandson, a son or grandson sort of figure. You know, or Stephanie Redden, another example, and there's another Susan, I think it's Susan Clive as far as I'm certain. Maggie P, oh, I love Maggie, she's lovely. And she said she could have had do with another nephew, me. I didn't think she loved me so much to the point where she wished I was her nephew. No, she's Delaware, by the way, Delaware residents, and she's a Delaware resident in the United States of America. I love Maggie so dearly, I really do. She's always so lovely and friendly towards me whenever we get conversant towards one another. No, really she is, and I love and value her for it. I really do. And who else is after Maggie P? Tilly M. Her personality is very comparable to Maggie P. No, really it is. And there's another Michelle, a Michelle B. A Michelle B based over in London, much to my surprise. And a Carol Tapia, she lives in the United States of America. She's always so lovely and friendly. I love her dearly. Carol Casey. She's Australian, but who couldn't love Carol Casey? Carol Tapia is lovely, and she's extremely lovingly pleasant, as usual, but Carol Casey, I would say she's probably about very comparable, slightly different to Carol Tapia, but probably about 2 times as loving. Honestly, I love Carol. She's extremely supportive and lovingly pleasant, as I said. Especially not only towards me at times, but Graham, and Fiona most certainly, to tell you odd things. And others include, I said the 3 Carols. No, 2 so far. Carol Spence. I've never really been particularly associated with Carol Spence, but she's generally provided much support always towards Graham and Fiona in the best unconditional love sort of way. Lovely Zeph, who's an enthusiastic cowgirl. Well, she has a cowgirl affinity, and she's always howdy to us all. Howdy, Zeph. howdy indeed. You know. And there's a Maria. Is it Maria or Mariah? I'm trying to remember. She's Australia, as far as I'm certain. Rhea Snakespeare. She's a very, very extremely popular and prominent member, heavily associated and fiercely supportive towards Graham and Fiona. Rhea Snakespeare, and an avid snake lover, because she's got snake pets, as we know, and her husband's an avid simulator enthusiast. He's got an affinity for simulation games and all that, as far as I'm remotely aware, but sorry Rhea if this was too much when I said this. And Jodie, oh, we love Jodie. Jodie's always lovely and extremely friendly as usual, and she's also lovingly supportive too, and protective too. And who else? Marcia Toms, lovely Marcia Toms, who's got her wonderful dog Sky and her cat Wookie. Not the Wookie from Star Wars, but meow, Wookie the cat, not a Wookiees from Star Wars. Oh God. I wonder what Graham and Fiona would be thinking of my Wookie impression. And all that. that. And who is next? I think I've nearly forgotten, but Stephanie Redden, lovely Stephanie Redden. Heather Griffin, I've seen Heather Griffin within Graham and Fiona's content from time to time, and certainly within Trevor's content too. Heather Griffin, she's a New Zealand Kiwi resident. New Zealand residents are called Kiwis. Kiwi resident, I think that's the best terminology one could use, or the correct, or certainly by and large the correct terminology one could use and all that. Oh, I nearly forgot, I wished I didn't, but it just got to me. Harriet. I love Harriet. Harriet, she eventually began to bond and socialise with me sometime after she learned my closeness and fondness towards my wonderful late grandfather Edmund. The moment she learned of it, she said, I've had a soft spot for you since hearing you speaking so lovingly about your wonderful late grandfather Edmund. She too was very close to her late grandfather as well. And she's an avid cat lover too. She's got 2 cats. And she, not only is she so lovely, but when she gets protective, she can show a fierce side, but she only shows it just to express her love and how much she cares towards oneself. And she does it in the best way. She really does. She really does it in the best way possible. I've certainly got to point this out. And Lisa Pert, oh Lisa, oh I love Lisa, I love her very dearly, I really do. And she said to me, I love you too, Foxy, and I'm very protective of you. Lisa is very protective, but she's lovingly protective. She's one of the most lovingly protective friends I'm associated with. I have got to point this out. She's really very, very lovingly, yes, protective as she is. She does it in a lovingly protective. Being lovingly protective, I think, is the best way forward. Certainly not everybody will agree with me on this, but I think it's the best way forward, in my personal opinion, that is, you know. And who else is after Lisa Perch? Oh, I think I'm going to run dry on listing people out. Oh, gosh, I think I'm going to forget, I hope not. Dawn Rowlands. I haven't really been associated with Dawn Rowlands, but she's friendly. She represents herself extremely nicely and well, and kindly and all that. She's always friendly to others, but I've never really bonded or socialised with Dawn Rowlands. But I'll socialise with her one day, I hope, if I ever see her alive in the future. She said something quite funny on the Trooping March live, and I'd probably say, I'd have a drink, an afternoon alcoholic drink or beverage with you any day, Dawn, my lovely. And she's a Wales resident, like Michelle, she's a Wales resident. To tell everybody odd things, Sapper's brilliant. He is funny and brilliant, and he's shown a very, very protective, but extremely loyally friendly side towards Graham, Fiona, Trevor, and me, and certainly the Hutches too, and Annabelle, and Duchess Blair. Sapper, we value Sapper's friendliness in every way. No, really we do. He may be funny, and certainly very, very silly, but we do value all his silly and funniness and the banter he provides. We don't provide the former banter we did because of what I did, but that we don't talk about that now, but we always provide banter in various different kinds of banter, which is enough to get us all funny and humorous and all that, you know. So Sapper, honestly, he's become a brilliant friend. I mean, we're almost, you know, we're nearly like buddies, you know, like that nearly in one way or another. When we began bonding and providing banter towards each other, we was almost like, no, not that. I'm not going to repeat what it was because it got out of hand. Purely it was my fault, but we don't talk about it, like I said, move on from it. And, who is next after Sapper? Trying to think. Sandy's lovely. Oh, wonderful, lovely Sandy. She's just brilliant, and I love her dearly, and she's shown love towards me as well. She's been expressly showing a great deal of love towards me, which is it's extremely nice of her to have done that, and I think it's wonderful that she did it. Really it is. I've certainly got to tell everybody of that. And who is next after this? Christine Sockup, Christine Prince, wonderful Christine Prince, Christine Witt. I think is it Christine Whitfield or Christine Whitmer? I think it's Christine Whitmer as far as I remember. Karen McCarthy, our lovely Karen McCarthy. She is always lovely and wonderful. No, really, she is wonderful. And all that. I think I'm going to run out of names. I've listed as many as I could and all that. I've listed as many as I could. Those who I've namely been generally quite greatly associated with, been fortunate to have been greatly associated with. And others include Stephen Magnus. I'll include Stephen Magnus. Stephen's always friendly and pleasant to everybody and all that. And Stephen Magnus, and then there's an Edward, I'm trying to remember his last name, and there's an Edward, and he's brilliant, so there we are. But, so it's, you could say with all the friends I've got through Graham and Fiona, honestly, I wouldn't change it for the world. I just would not change it for the world in any way. I really wouldn't. I mean, I seriously wouldn't change it for anything, you know. And everybody said some very wonderful and extremely nice things towards me that I've received through all of my friends through Graham and Fiona, and I thank them largely for it. But there is one thing, one saying and one thing said to me that couldn't be more visibly moving than I'm about to tell you. I mean, it's very, the first time I received it, I was in tears as I read it. I was really in tears. Oh, and another wonderful friend, lovely Ellie in Scotland. And I do love her dearly. And Jennifer in Canada, other wonderful. Ellie and Jennifer, always lovely and wonderful. But getting to what was said, when I read it, I was just in tears. With happiness, mind you. I was in tears with happiness as I read what was said to me. I've received many wonderful comments through all of my friends, my found wonderful friends through Graham and Fiona and Trevor, but it doesn't get more visibly moving than the one I'm about to tell you. It's certainly visibly moving to me, and it still emotionally gets me. And even now, when I look back on it and say it and tell everybody or tell other people of it, even now I still get goosebumps and still get tears when I say it. Honestly, to tell the story of it. It was one November 2023 evening. Graham and Fiona had done a video. And my friend, this one, it was Michelle, who said something extremely nice and kind and friendly towards Graham and Fiona that evening. And I praised her for what she said. I valued what she said, so I personally said, oh, no. I was like, that was Michelle, that was very nice what you had to say and all that, and certain things, etc., etc. But however, I was worried I had disturbed her inadvertently and said it to her at a bad moment. But then she replied very kindly and selflessly. She didn't have to, but she kindly replied to me and she said, "Why are you apologising?" And here comes the part she said. After she asked me why was I apologising. I mean, very visibly moved. I mean, honestly, she couldn't get any more visibly moving than what she said to me. Probably one of the most emotionally visibly moving compliments I had received from Graham, from one of my friends through Graham and Fiona. I mean, what she said to me was this. She said, "Oh, do you know, you are the epitome of a true gentleman, through and through." Which I'd like to say is very refreshing in this day and age. You know, oh, honestly, what, you know, what a moving thing to say, you know. I mean, you know, it took me completely by surprise when she said this and all that, you know. I mean, all I was hoping was that I wouldn't make myself look a complete foolish idiot within Graham and Fiona's content whenever showing and representing myself. And all that. It couldn't get any more visibly moving than when Michelle said to me that I was the epitome of a true gentleman through and through, which I'd certainly like to say is very refreshing in this day and age. I mean, what an emotionally moving and, refreshingly lovely thing to say. I know, it still moves me to this day, all that. I mean, I love Michelle, I really do. I couldn't thank her enough for saying those things to me, and what it had to me, and in a way it gripped me emotionally and all of that. It took me a while to open this up to Michelle, but I did open it up to Graham and Fiona, what it meant to me, receiving what Michelle said to me. And I did eventually tell Michelle, but after telling Graham and Fiona, the only one person and one person only who I could truly depict as the epitome of a true gentleman. There was one person and one person only, and the only one person in my lifetime who I could truly depict as the epitome of a true gentleman was nobody other than my wonderful late grandfather Edmund. He really was, I would say, he was the epitome of a true gentleman, through and through, and all that. So, yes, I would certainly say that, and to receive something less than 5 years after losing my wonderful late grandfather Edmund, it really, not only is it visibly moving, but it's extremely invisibly touching as well, and it really, really does, it's an emotion that's not only what do I feel strongly, but I think anybody could feel that sort of emotion very strongly when somebody depicts somebody as something they could only see in somebody else, be it certainly a deceased late relative who they loved and looked up to most fondly and all that. So... Oh yes, I mean, and obviously, as everybody knows, as I'd said many times, most of you know, as I said before, the loss of my wonderful late grandfather Edmund, it devastated me greatly. But what was worse was that, as I said before, was Edmund's death had the worst tolling side effect on my grandmother Anne, who's still alive as of 2024, because, the loss of Edmund, it broke her. I mean, she lived. She did overcome the loss to some extent, but she never completely recovered from it, I'm afraid. But fortunately, it never stopped her living life to the full. It never once stopped her living life to the full, to assuringly tell everybody of things. And when I opened this up personally to Michelle herself, she really didn't have to do this, but she really, really took me under her wing, sympathising with me what it's like losing a relative we love so much. I mean, please, yes, I eventually did overcome the loss of Edmund, but it really took me a long time, It took a lot of us in my family, certainly me and my grandmother Anne, not to mention, a long time to fully overcome the loss, Well, she never fully overcame the loss, but she managed to at least greatly overcome the worst of it all. Because I really looked up to him ever so fondly, and I certainly looked up to my grandmother and still look up to her fondly too, as I spent a lot of time with them as a child, during a lot of school holidays and all that. Especially I spent a lot of time with them when they lived in the Brighton and Hove region, which was where they lived from when I was aged 7 to 13, but when I was 13 they moved to the Isle of Wight. But I spent a lot of school holidays over in the Isle of Wight when I was in my teens to tell a lot of people of things. And they were brilliant times. And that was where Edmund died. That my grandparents were living on the Isle of Wight at the time of his death, where Rhea is based. I mean, he wouldn't have wanted to be anywhere else after they moved to the Isle of Wight, which many of you may not know of, but getting to know of this right now. It was it was a huge loss. It was a big, big loss, the loss of Edmund. He was a very big part of not only my life, but he was a very big part of my family's life too. You know, and he was fondly loved dearly. We're always thankful for the memories that we have of him. I always will. I mean, but as my friend would say, nobody's ever really gone. Nobody's dead so long as we still remember them. They're always alive so long as we remember the very memories we have of them in our very hearts, soul and minds. One thing I would say in regard to that is Edmund's very captivated spirit will always live in the deepest core soul depth of my heart for however long it continues to beat. Yes, I'll always still miss him, but I did at least eventually overcome the loss in full and all that. So, and all. But Michelle really took me under her wing when I did eventually explain to her that there was only one person in all of my lifetime that I could only truly depict as the epitome of a true gentleman in the way she did depict it towards me, which really little did I ever expect to receive something like this, you know, and all that. And she said, "I'm so sorry about the loss of your dear Edmund. He was a dear man, he really was. I mean, my grandmother would have said the same thing to Michelle if anything, she really would. I think she definitely would have thought of him as a dear man had she met him in real life when he was still alive. But, you know, but I didn't know of Michelle at the time. But, I know, I'm wishing I did, because she would have just loved and adored my Edmund. I mean, she probably would have definitely thought it in him, but I would have left it to her to decide. But then again, like I said before, she didn't know my Edmund at the time when he was alive. You know, she only knew of him when I opened up about the loss of Edmund on the live stream Graham and Fiona did back in February 2024, which took place on the anniversary of his death, to tell everybody odd things. And that was when Michelle appeared on the live stream. And the 18th of February is generally quite a hard and sad day for me, because it's gotten easier over the years, but it's still a sad day, the 18th of February, because the 18th of February 2020, that was at its most heartbreaking and really gutting of days, the very day of his death, the most heartbreaking. I mean, I couldn't explain too much about it, but I was very, very upset that day. All of us in my family, we were just all very, very upset and devastated. No, we really were at the time. And it was hard on the 18th of February 2021, the first year anniversary. The second anniversary, it was still quite hard, but getting easier. But it was really from about 2023 onwards that it got, the day got easier to cope with, the future anniversary dates of his death and all that. But as Michelle would tell anybody when they're talking about the loss of their much-loved relatives or loved ones or close friends, she would say, and I completely agree with her on this, is that grief affects us in many different ways. It affects everybody differently in several varied, different, typical ways. This is certainly as truth has things. No, she didn't have to, because I know of this already, even before she said it to me, but she really, very, very lovingly took me under her wing when she spoke of it. But I think it would definitely helped if she said it to me at the time of his death, but again, we didn't know of each other then, you know. No, I really felt like she was very affectionately wrapping her arm around my shoulder and giving me a nice cuddle towards it when she was sympathising and soothing me regarding it. She really didn't have to, but it was very kind and selfless of her to have done so anyway, even though she didn't have to, because I did eventually overcome the loss in full, but it took time. But then obviously other troubles that happened after that I experienced, which led to overwhelming stress and really great sadness and really feeling mentally broken to the point, because it got to the point where it was just too much and too emotionally overwhelming. Like I said before, the real true thing that really truly helped me with really overcoming the loss of my wonderful late grandfather Edmund was the classic car, vintage rally and vintage vehicular event attending I took up, which was when my best friend David Scott introduced it all towards me. You know, and that was what really truly got me back up on the horse and truly helped me, was really in full overcoming the loss of Edmund. And because I'm now able to talk about his final days and what the loss of Edmund was like without getting very emotionally invested, whereas before, certainly it's even over a year after he died, I could only share limited things about it, because if I shared the whole story I would have just been in tears and gotten very, very upset and certainly incredibly emotionally invested. So that like I've said many times before, I couldn't thank David Scott, my bestie, enough for introducing me to those events, because of how it's helped me and the effect it's had on me. You know, and another thing that was said, it didn't help me with overcoming the loss in full, but it proved instrumentally useful with loosening the burdensome grief when it all happened at the time. Which was the saying, very wonderful philosophical saying, there are two, one from Heather and another from an old friend, Nan Moy, and all that. The one that Heather said was, people can die, but we do hold our memories forever in our hearts and minds. And another saying that Moy said was, strength is within the memories. Brilliant philosophical sayings when to showcase the depth and meaning to it, you know. But yet again, sorry if I was waffling on far too much, but Graham, one thing I would say is a big, huge congratulations on over 9.75k subscribers. I do, like Trevor, I do truly, sincerely hope you hit the 10k subscriber milestone by or before 2025. Never mind if not, but I do truly hope you'll hit this milestone by this point and all that. I really do hope you'll hit it by then. You deserve it. You deserve, both yourself and Fiona, you both deserve 50k subscribers each within both your main channels. And I mean that when saying it. You truly deserve very, very, very many more subscribers than what you've currently got. I would certainly say that for sure. Thanks everybody, all indeed, for watching. Well done, Graham. Very well done on your recent subscriber milestone. Very, very big round of applause resoundingly. But certainly by and large, and by all means, if anything, a great big well done and a good congratulations. And may I wish you many brilliant success with your future YouTubing. I'll always be eager and happily following it for whenever chance allows for me. I think this will probably get about 9.8k subscribers. His channel will probably have about 9.8k by the time this is uploaded. And for when you hit the 10k subscriber milestone, it will be a celebrational moment. It will be a moment of a celebrational live stream. I would certainly think so, but I'll leave it for yourself and Fiona and Trevor, the Hutches and Duchess Blair, to decide amongst yourselves. I mean, or I could probably participate, but that's only if I'm permitted to do so, because I wouldn't want to do it intrusively. I really wouldn't. Thanks all for watching. For those of you who are not yet remotely familiar of Graham and Fiona, though I know most of you watching would almost certainly be remotely familiar of him, the link to his channel will be found in the description below. Thanks everybody, all indeed, for watching, and I shall certainly see you in the very next video. Ta-ta, another time. Well done, Graham, on your recent subscriber milestones. And I mean every word I say. You deserve far, far more subscribers than what you've currently got. I certainly do mean that when saying this, right from the heart. Good night, and may your God go with you, as Graham and Fiona would definitely say. Certainly, Graham. Goodbye, and may your good wishes be bringing you great expectations of happiness.